It's that time of year again, No Nut November. Every year, millions of men around the world try it out. But is it actually good for you? What really happens when you abstain from ejaculation for 30 days? I'm Dr. Mina Malik, urologist and pelvic surgeon, and today we're breaking down the truth about semen retention, what increases, what decreases, and the one thing your body does automatically that can ruin the entire challenge. So what exactly is semen retention? It's the practice of avoiding ejaculation in any form, no sex, no masturbation, no release whatsoever. The goal is to retain semen to supposedly boost your energy, strength, and confidence. No Nut November started as an internet challenge on Reddit back in 2011, and since then it's become a viral movement. But behind all the memes and motivation, the real question is, what does science actually say about this practice? Now, this video isn't about encouraging or discouraging participation. If you find that abstaining helps you mentally, emotionally, or spiritually, that's absolutely fine. What I want to do is clear up the scientific misconceptions surrounding semen retention, because a lot of what you hear online just isn't true. People often claim it boosts testosterone, enhances fertility, increases semen volume, and even improves performance. Let's look at the research. Let's start with testosterone. There are only 2 small studies that have ever measured testosterone during semen retention, one with 10 men and another with 29. The first found a slight increase in testosterone after 3 weeks, but here's the catch. These men knew they'd be allowed to masturbate at the end of the study. That anticipation, the brain's expectation of a sexual reward, is what caused the hormone spike, not the retention itself. The second study showed a temporary rise after 7 days, but it dropped right back to baseline soon after. So if there is any increase, it's short-lived and psychological, not a real biological boost. Now, let's talk about fertility, and this one surprises a lot of people. The longer you abstain, the worse your sperm quality becomes. After about 5 to 7 days, DNA fragmentation increases, sperm shape becomes abnormal, and motility, or how well sperm swim, goes down. So if you're trying to conceive, long abstinence actually works against you. However, there is one claim that's partly true. Semen volume does increase when you abstain. Several systematic reviews analyzing dozens of studies confirm this, but here's the detail most people miss. Semen volume rises by roughly 20% per day for the first 4 days, then it plateaus. After that, your body starts to reabsorb the unused semen, and eventually you'll experience a nocturnal emission or wet dream. This is your body's automatic reset mechanism. It's completely natural and out of your control. Unfortunately, many men see wet dreams as a failure in the challenge, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Your body knows what it's doing. Nocturnal emissions are your system's way of maintaining balance. You can't control it, and you shouldn't feel guilty about it. So, what's the bottom line? If your goal is to maximize semen volume or sperm health, the science says your sweet spot is around 4 to 5 days of abstinence, going a full 30 days. You're either reabsorbing semen or having a wet dream anyway. For couples trying to conceive, sex every other day during the fertile window, especially before and during ovulation, gives you the best odds. At the end of the day, semen retention won't give you superhuman testosterone levels or magical fertility powers. It may help you with self-control or discipline, and that's perfectly valid. But physiologically, your body has natural limits. So whether you do No Nut November for the challenge, the community, or simple curiosity, now you know the truth about what's really happening inside your body. If you found this helpful and you want to learn more about how to truly improve your sexual health based on real evidence, make sure to subscribe and join me here every week, where I give you the answers that most doctors just won't. And remember, take care of yourself because you're worth it. It's that time of the year again, and once more, the internet is buzzing with conversations about No Nut November. Every November, millions of men across the world take part in this viral challenge, promising to abstain from all forms of ejaculation for an entire month. Some do it as a test of self-control, some for spiritual discipline, and others out of pure curiosity to see if it truly makes them stronger, more energetic, or mentally sharper. But what if I told you that while the idea sounds empowering, the actual science behind it tells a more complex story? I'm Dr. Mina Malik, a urologist and pelvic surgeon, and today we're diving deep into the truth about semen retention, what really changes in your body when you stop releasing, what actually improves, and what might not change at all. Semen retention, in the simplest sense, means deliberately avoiding ejaculation. No sex, no masturbation, and no release of any kind. The idea behind it is that by holding on to your semen, your body preserves vital energy and hormones that might otherwise be lost. This practice, though modernized online as a meme and a motivational challenge, actually has roots that go back centuries. In several traditional systems, such as Taoist and yogic practices, semen was believed to be a life force, something to be guarded to maintain strength and longevity. But while those teachings focused on energy and mindfulness, today's No Nut November tends to focus on physical performance, testosterone, and confidence, often backed by claims that are not fully supported by scientific data. Now, here's where things get interesting. This challenge didn't start as a medical recommendation. It began as an internet movement in 2011 when someone on Reddit proposed a humorous idea. What if men refrained from ejaculation for the entire month of November? It was meant to be a light-hearted social experiment, but quickly grew into a global trend that people started taking seriously. Over time, participants began to share personal experiences, claiming improved focus, discipline, motivation, and even physical vitality. These stories fueled the movement, turning it from a meme into something many saw as a path to self-improvement. But science always asks the same question: what is actually happening in your body when you abstain? The truth is, semen retention isn't harmful in itself if done mindfully. If someone finds it helps with confidence, focus, or emotional balance, that's a perfectly valid reason to continue. Psychological benefits can be very real. However, when we talk about measurable biological changes like testosterone boosts or increased fertility, the evidence becomes thin. What science consistently shows is that while there may be short-term hormonal fluctuations caused by anticipation or mental focus, long-term physical changes are minimal. The human body is smart. It regulates itself constantly, and hormones like testosterone naturally rise and fall depending on many factors like sleep, stress, and physical activity. So before diving into this challenge thinking it will completely transform your hormones or sexual power, it's important to understand both the science and the mindset behind it. Semen retention can be a tool for awareness and discipline, but it's not a magic switch for masculinity or vitality. The key lies in balance, understanding your body, respecting its natural rhythms, and realizing that true strength doesn't come from complete abstinence, but from the awareness of what your body truly needs. Semen retention, at its core, is the deliberate practice of avoiding ejaculation through any means, be it sex, masturbation, or even stimulation that leads to orgasm. The belief behind this idea is that semen carries vital energy or life force, and by conserving it, men can supposedly enhance their physical, mental, and even spiritual power. This concept isn't new. It's been around for centuries, appearing in ancient traditions like Taoism and certain yogic teachings that describe semen as a form of concentrated energy essential for strength, focus, and longevity. In those practices, retaining semen was seen as a form of mastery over the body and mind, a way to redirect that energy inward to improve vitality and spiritual awareness. But in today's world, the practice has taken a very different turn, especially with the rise of challenges like No Nut November. No Nut November, often abbreviated as NNN, began not as a serious scientific experiment, but rather as a viral internet challenge that spread through Reddit back in 2011. What started as a tongue-in-cheek post quickly gained traction, evolving into a massive global movement. Every year, men from all walks of life participate in this challenge, pledging to go 30 days without any form of ejaculation. For some, it's simply a fun test of willpower. For others, it becomes a deeply personal journey, often tied to beliefs about discipline, masculinity, and self-control. Many participants claim that avoiding ejaculation for a set period makes them more confident, driven, and mentally focused. They talk about increased energy, sharper thinking, and even a greater sense of motivation and presence. However, with popularity also comes misinformation. Many of the claims surrounding semen retention are not supported by actual medical evidence. Online communities often circulate ideas that abstaining from ejaculation for extended periods can lead to dramatic increases in testosterone, muscle growth, or even improved sexual performance later on. While these notions are attractive and can feel empowering, the scientific reality is far less dramatic. Our bodies are incredibly efficient and designed to maintain hormonal balance on their own. Hormones like testosterone actually fluctuate throughout the day and are influenced by multiple factors: diet, sleep, exercise, and stress, much more than by ejaculation frequency. That doesn't mean the practice has no benefits at all. For some men, participating in semen retention helps break patterns of compulsive sexual behavior, excessive pornography use, or a lack of focus caused by constant stimulation. In this sense, the benefits are more psychological than physical. It can teach self-awareness, impulse control, and mental discipline, all of which are genuinely valuable. The act of setting a personal challenge and sticking to it can also build confidence and willpower, creating a ripple effect that extends beyond sexuality, improving productivity, relationships, and emotional stability. Ultimately, semen retention is less about the physical act of abstaining and more about the mindset it creates. It invites men to pay closer attention to their habits, their desires, and the ways they respond to temptation. Whether or not someone experiences measurable physical changes, the psychological shift of being in control rather than controlled by impulses can be profoundly empowering. The key is to approach it with awareness rather than obsession, understanding that while abstaining may offer insights or benefits, true balance comes from harmony between desire, discipline, and self-care. Now that we understand what semen retention really is, let's explore the part that gets everyone talking, the supposed link between semen retention and testosterone levels. You've probably heard countless people online claim that abstaining from ejaculation leads to massive spikes in testosterone, giving men more energy, aggression, muscle growth, and confidence. But what does the science actually show? When we look at real medical research, the story becomes much clearer and a lot less magical. In fact, there are only a handful of scientific studies that have ever measured testosterone levels during periods of semen retention, and the results are far from what most people expect. The first study worth mentioning involved just 10 men. They were asked to abstain from ejaculation for 3 weeks, and their hormone levels were measured throughout the experiment. After 21 days, researchers did notice a temporary rise in testosterone, but the catch is that these men knew they would be allowed to masturbate at the end of the study while watching pornography. That anticipation of sexual release activated the brain's reward pathways, creating an artificial spike in testosterone. It wasn't the semen retention that caused the increase, it was the brain preparing for sexual activity. Your body essentially starts gearing up for reproduction by temporarily increasing sex hormones when it senses an opportunity for release. Once the act is over, levels quickly return to normal. The second study, which included 29 men, found something similar, but on a shorter timeline. After 7 days of abstinence, testosterone levels rose slightly, but by day 8 and onward, they dropped right back down to baseline. What this tells us is that any increase in testosterone during retention is short-lived, subtle, and largely psychological rather than physiological. The mind plays a powerful role in shaping our hormonal environment, but there's no consistent, long-term elevation of testosterone just from abstaining. In other words, there's no solid evidence that holding in semen for weeks or months gives you higher testosterone than normal. It's important to understand how testosterone naturally behaves in the body. Levels fluctuate throughout the day. They peak in the morning, decline through the afternoon, and rise again after rest or exercise. Factors such as diet, sleep quality, stress management, and physical activity influence testosterone far more than ejaculation frequency. A man who eats a balanced diet, lifts weights regularly, and gets adequate sleep will experience a more stable and healthy testosterone pattern than someone who abstains for a month but neglects overall wellness. So, when you hear claims online that retaining semen will suddenly transform your body or give you an aggressive masculine edge, remember that the human endocrine system doesn't work that way. Testosterone is tightly regulated by feedback loops involving the brain, pituitary gland, and testes. If levels rise too high, the body automatically brings them back down to maintain balance. The belief that semen is a storage tank for testosterone is simply not supported by any credible data. The real takeaway here is that semen retention may make some men feel stronger or more in control because it's linked to focus, discipline, and self-restraint. But that sense of empowerment comes from the mind, not from hormonal magic. In essence, confidence and energy aren't locked inside your semen. They come from how you train your body, care for your health, and manage your mental state each day. When it comes to fertility, most people assume that the longer you abstain from ejaculation, the stronger and healthier your semen becomes. It seems logical at first. If you store it longer, the volume should increase, and that should mean more sperm and better chances for conception, right? But in reality, human biology doesn't work like that. The science tells a completely different story. In fact, prolonged abstinence can actually make your sperm less healthy and reduce your fertility potential. This is one of the most misunderstood aspects of semen retention, and it's something that every man should know, especially those who are planning to start a family or care about maintaining their reproductive health. Let's break this down. Studies have shown that sperm quality begins to decline after about 5 to 7 days of abstinence. When ejaculation doesn't occur for too long, the sperm that sit in the testicles and seminal vesicles start to age. With time, this leads to DNA fragmentation, essentially damage within the sperm's genetic material. That damage means the sperm are less capable of fertilizing an egg successfully. It also means that if fertilization does happen, there's a slightly higher chance of developmental issues or early miscarriages. In addition to DNA damage, prolonged abstinence also affects how sperm move and look. Their motility, the ability to swim efficiently, decreases, and their morphology, the shape of the sperm, becomes more irregular. Both of these factors are key markers that fertility specialists look at when assessing a man's reproductive health. You might still be wondering, if semen volume increases the longer you wait, doesn't that help? Yes, it's true that abstaining for a few days can increase volume, but that doesn't mean the quality improves. Larger volume doesn't always mean healthier sperm. The liquid portion of semen, called seminal plasma, builds up more quickly than the sperm themselves. So what you're really seeing after long abstinence is more fluid, not necessarily more viable sperm. Think of it like leaving fruit out for too long. It doesn't get fresher with time. Similarly, sperm cells that aren't released for many days begin to deteriorate even while they're still inside the body. This is why fertility experts often recommend moderate ejaculation frequency when trying to conceive. Most research suggests that ejaculating every 2 to 3 days produces the healthiest sperm profile. It keeps sperm production active, prevents DNA damage from buildup, and maintains optimal motility. If a couple is actively trying to get pregnant, the best strategy is to have sex every other day during the fertile window around ovulation. That timing maximizes both sperm quality and the chances of successful conception. So, while the idea of saving up semen for weeks might sound like it would lead to a super load, biologically it's counterproductive. Your body isn't designed to store sperm indefinitely. It's designed to produce, release, and renew them regularly. The system works on a rhythm, and disrupting that rhythm for too long can backfire. The takeaway is simple: moderation works better than extreme abstinence. Keeping a healthy sexual rhythm supports both hormonal balance and reproductive health, and understanding that truth helps men make choices that align with how their bodies actually function, not just how myths make them feel. There's one thing that people often overlook when they talk about semen retention, and that's the body's own natural process of regulating release. Even if you abstain for days or weeks, your body has built-in mechanisms to balance things out, and one of those is something called a nocturnal emission, or more commonly, a wet dream. This is when the body releases semen during sleep without any conscious effort. It's a completely normal and involuntary event that has nothing to do with willpower or control. Yet, in many online circles and communities, especially those that take semen retention very seriously, having a wet dream is seen as a failure or a loss of energy. But that belief couldn't be further from the truth. In reality, it's your body's natural reset button, its way of keeping your reproductive system functioning properly. When semen builds up for too long without ejaculation, the body begins to sense that it's reaching a threshold. Sperm cells that are not released start to age, and the body needs to make room for new ones. To maintain balance, it triggers a nocturnal emission, often accompanied by an erotic dream. This is a completely involuntary physiological process that happens to men of all ages, although it's most common during adolescence and young adulthood. Over time, the frequency may decrease, but the underlying purpose remains the same: to clear out old semen, refresh sperm production, and maintain the health of the reproductive system. Many people who practice semen retention or participate in challenges like No Nut November often feel disappointed or guilty when this happens, believing they've broken their streak or lost their progress. That emotional reaction comes from misunderstanding how the body works. You cannot fail something that you don't consciously control. Your nervous system and hormonal pathways operate automatically, and nocturnal emissions are a sign that your body is functioning exactly as it should. In fact, suppressing this natural process through shame or anxiety can do more harm than good because it can create unnecessary stress around something entirely normal. What's also important to understand is that the body doesn't endlessly store semen. When ejaculation doesn't occur through voluntary or involuntary means, the body starts to reabsorb the fluid and the sperm within it. The nutrients, proteins, and minerals in the semen are broken down and reused for other biological processes. This reabsorption is efficient and natural. It prevents waste, but it also ensures that semen production stays in balance. Your body is incredibly smart. It doesn't let excess fluid build up to harmful levels. So when you hear people talking about losing energy through a wet dream, know that this isn't how biology works. You're not losing life force. You're simply allowing your system to maintain equilibrium. Wet dreams are not something to fight against, but something to accept as part of being human. Instead of feeling frustrated or guilty, Understand that this process is a reflection of your body's health and balance. The takeaway is simple. Don't stress about it. Don't overthink it. And definitely don't see it as failure. Your body knows exactly when to reset. And that's a sign that everything inside is working just the way it should. When we put all the evidence together, the bottom line becomes clear. Semen retention isn't a magical key to unlocking superhuman strength, endless energy, or sky-high testosterone. It's simply a practice that has gained popularity because it taps into something deeper, the desire for control, focus, and discipline. But from a biological standpoint, the benefits are limited, and your body already has systems in place that regulate semen production, hormone balance, and fertility. If your goal is to improve your sexual health or vitality, it's not about holding in semen for weeks or months. It's about taking care of your body consistently and intelligently. Research has shown that around 4 to 5 days of abstinence is actually the sweet spot for maximizing semen quality and volume. During this short period, the body produces fresh, healthy sperm while allowing a modest increase in semen volume. Beyond that point, the gains level off and even begin to reverse. After about a week, sperm start to age, DNA integrity decreases, and the risk of natural emissions increases. This means that the extra days you spend abstaining might not be giving you more control. They're just giving your body more work to do in maintaining balance. So, if your goal is reproductive health, moderation truly is the key. For couples trying to conceive, timing is everything. Medical experts usually recommend having sex every other day during the fertile window, especially in the days leading up to ovulation. This approach keeps sperm at their healthiest, ensures a consistent supply, and avoids the decline in quality that comes with prolonged abstinence. The body thrives on rhythm, not extremes. The same applies to men who want to improve their energy, confidence, or performance. Rather than depending on retention, focus on the foundations: good nutrition, consistent exercise, proper hydration, quality sleep, and stress management. These are the real factors that influence your hormonal health and sexual vitality far more than simply avoiding ejaculation. It's also worth remembering that the perceived benefits of semen retention are often psychological rather than physical. Many men report feeling sharper, more alert, or more disciplined after abstaining for a while. That's not because of biochemical magic. It's because they've redirected their focus and energy into something intentional. That mental shift can be empowering, but it doesn't require total abstinence to achieve. You can cultivate the same level of focus and drive by practicing mindfulness, setting goals, and staying aware of how your habits affect your body. So whether you choose to participate in No Nut November or skip it entirely, understand that your worth, your masculinity, and your health are not defined by how long you can go without release. What matters most is how well you understand and care for your body. True strength doesn't come from suppression. It comes from balance, awareness, and consistent self-care. Semen retention might offer short-term mental clarity or discipline, but sustainable power comes from a lifestyle that supports your physical, emotional, and hormonal health every single day. So, as we wrap up this conversation, remember that your body is not your enemy, it's your greatest ally. Semen retention isn't about punishment or denial. It's about understanding how your system naturally works and learning to respect that rhythm. There's nothing wrong with curiosity or self-discipline, but when it turns into obsession or guilt, it stops being healthy. Whether you choose to practice No Nut November or not, what truly matters is the relationship you have with your own body. Science makes it very clear your body already knows how to regulate your hormones, recycle what it doesn't need, and reset when necessary. You don't have to fight against that process. There's no magic number of days that turns you into a stronger, more masculine, or more spiritual man. Strength comes from consistency, balance, and awareness. It's about caring for yourself in all areas: nutrition, exercise, rest, stress management, and emotional health. When those pieces come together, your vitality naturally follows. So don't let internet challenges or social media myths define your self-worth. If abstaining for a short period helps you feel focused or mindful, that's great. Use it as a tool. But don't confuse it with a cure-all or a secret shortcut to power. Real growth doesn't come from holding back. It comes from living consciously, making informed choices, and honoring your body's natural design. And finally, give yourself grace. If you have a wet dream or feel like you've failed the challenge, you haven't. That's simply your body doing what it was built to do. Let go of guilt, take care of your health, and remember, progress isn't measured by how long you can hold something in, but by how deeply you understand yourself. So, to every man watching, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep showing up for your own well-being. Your body is capable, intelligent, and resilient. Trust it, nurture it, and it will always take care of you in return.